Hi, everybody. I'm actually an associate dean. I am a full professor, and it's really my pleasure to be here today because we helped get the original funding for BTV Ignite based on our thinking about education apps. So I'm like, yay, we're kicking this off. I'm also really pleased because there's a lot of friends in this audience that we've either worked with or I've worked for, and who are deeply engaged in technology and pushing it forward, or education and helping our Vermont students or our students in general thrive. And I'm really happy because some people might know I'm kind of famous in Vermont for starting Champlain's game program, which is one of the top 10 in the nation, over 500. And years ago, I went on a cruise with Microsoft Education for free. There was about 30 of us from all over the United States. And, you know, it was interesting. We were up there like this on the boat giving presentations. So I'm really, you know, it's kind of a nice group to be with. So anyway, what I do now is that I direct the Emergent Media Center. And it's really, this is our definition for ourselves: a fearless learning community, designing dynamic processes and tools to create meaningful solutions. And we have three parts to us. We have the center, the studio. Some of you have worked with us in the past, where we actually employ students to create digital media. We partner with business, nonprofits, and government agencies. And then we have our Maker Lab that's synced with the generator. We open together. And it's for our entire college community, and it's a physical prototyping lab with a host of tools. And you might say, well, why are they together? Well, I think IoT really kind of explains the whole thing. And I look at it, we combine digitality and physicality in that space. And then lastly, we have graduate programs that are really about, everybody likes to talk about design thinking. We're designers, but we're also into collaboration, production methods, and definitely innovation. So when I look at these three together, they seem like two separate entities, but it's code, physical hardware, and human creativity and talent that we're bringing together. And when I look back to when I went to school, which was typewriter days, and I was an art student, I really wanted direct experience. I think I heard that before, and interaction and personal creativity. And the last thing at that time, even though my dad was an engineer, that appealed to me was code. I just thought of these humongous machines that turned through the punch cards at the time and spit out zeros and ones, and it was boring to me at the time. However, despite my limited viewpoint at the time, code, hardware, and creativity did some amazing things back then, like put a man on the moon, but that was still seemingly out of reach for someone like me, an 18-year-old woman. Sorry, it just was. But a lot of things have changed since that day, and code and hardware have enabled a lot. And I love this quote by a game designer friend of mine, Clint Hawking. He says, "It's code we can do anything." And I think that's really true, as seen by your talk here. First, code itself has been more accessible to everybody. Secondly, it's tumbled in price and shrunk to become the size of some devices that we carry and wear. And thirdly, we can all create amazing things, whether it's digital photographs or printed 3D sculptures or conversations or more active bodies. Or we can work collaboratively, as in the case of today's NASA scientists who are using virtual reality to direct the Mars rover. And what has changed and will continue is how code, hardware, and human creativity creates experiences that are causing individual and cultural change that crosses into all of our human endeavors, from politics to the humanities. I wanted you to take a minute and peek into the near future. I'm not going to the big chart, but just 4 key points. Technology is going to become increasingly intuitive to use. Imagine there's going to be no cords, no more keyboards, no more boxes, and putting us inside of realities that we could not imagine, and it will seamlessly pervade our lives. We won't even know we're participating in technology, just as today cell phones do for us. No one thinks twice about having a cell phone on you all the time. But questions still remain about how these pervasive technologies will impact us as individuals and as societies. It's already transformed commerce and communication. How many of us, for instance, buy online, message instead of call, binge on Netflix or Hulu, or Skype or WhatsApp with distant parents and grandchildren? I know I do. And when will we ever put down the darn phone? This watch was supposed to be a solution. I now carry both. I don't know about you guys. These are the questions that we're trying to answer as both educators and technologists at Champlain. As an educator, I'm proud that in 12 years of the EMC, we've educated over 600 students working at the studio, and that as an academic center, our success is evidenced by the fact that 98% of our students continue all the way through Champlain. That's really high for college education. And I'm also here because 96% of these students are employed in their career field within 6 months of graduation, both locally, like at Dealer, and internationally. And because together we take a deep, hands-on dive into learning. It's really our key thing about ever-changing technologies, starting with our earliest forays into serious games, gamification, social media, mobile apps, virtual world building, and alternative controllers, to more recent leaps into 3D printing, video marketing, Internet of Things, robotics, large screen interactives, augmented reality, and virtual reality, approaching each with intent, reflectivity, and playfulness. I did create the game degree. Projects such as Breakaway that we did with the UN, it's our longest running program. And it's, this is the Me Too moment, but we started this 12 years ago to address violence against women and girls around the globe, and was successfully launched in Palestine and also in El Salvador, where we had really positive results on its impact with youth, your youth, the 8 to 16-year-olds. And then Make a Change, which is now being tested. It's a game to educate college students to prevent sexual assaults and rape on college campuses. These are issues of our times. And then partnering with UVM, the medical researcher Peter Bingham on a Ford Foundation grant, a game for children with cystic fibrosis that was proven to increase both their motivation for completing their breathing exercises, but also it increasing their lung capacity, which we did not expect but was hoped for. There it is. And then Lake Quest, created for Echo down the road, the Aquarium and Science Center. We have a mobile game suite there to teach visitors about lake ecology and sustainability of the lake. And we have a new project that's launching with them this fall. And Wealth Generator, it's a global financial equity game with UNESCO's Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Education for Peace and Sustainable Development, to teach folks about how to create sustainable communities around the world. And then Pixel Cloud, it's really a sculpture for exploring big data and emotion through tweets. Graffiti in Flight, if you've flown through BTV, you have an opportunity to play it there. And lastly, our work in VR and with the folks back in the back here, Aaron and Sam. We've done quite a few VR projects. One, with Aaron and Sam, you can actually smell the experience as you go through a narrative, but also with, and it's in Burlington's launch VT this week, and in Texas at Digital Now this week, a VR surgical simulator for educating surgeons, and as our client likes to say, a flight simulator for surgeons. And what's a little different than what you saw, you actually can cut the bone and get your metrics and get the tension back when you do so. So it's hoped, as our friends say, they're like, usually you only have one chance on a cadaver, and this is your other chances, so, as a student. So in closing, working with our insightful students on these projects, I come back to what I learned in regards to the question that as educators and technologists, we need to address. How will future technology impact us, our culture, and our society? What I predict is that more and more technology will be offering virtual experiences that we will record in our brain as actuality. Some will be disturbing, such as early morning tweets and bullying posts, but some will enrich our lives, as the recent news that scientists returned the sense of touch to a man with a prosthetic arm. And some will unite communities offering empathy and knowledge like Breakaway has done in the prevention of gender violence. Secondly, as designers of these experiences, we must be aware of the potentials, the worst and the best. And as a society, we must recognize and support the need for a new type of literacy, a human digital literacy, so all generations can thoughtfully interpret, build, and make choices regarding these experiences. I've come to recognize that technology is a powerful tool that amplifies attitudes and actions. I'm going to say that again. Technology amplifies attitudes and actions. Towards that end, as designers, educators, and citizens, we must find a way to hold up a model of our highest values, because it's exactly those values that technology will amplify and broadcast. And that's it. Thank you.